Imagine you're in a high-stakes negotiation or a critical job interview. The person across from you is nodding and saying all the right things, but underneath the table, they are gripping the edge of the wood so tightly their knuckles are turning white. We usually fixate entirely on the words, yet spoken language only accounts for about 20% of a typical conversation. The vast majority of human communication happens in a silence we've been trained to ignore. Relying strictly on words is like flying blind. You take verbal agreements at face value, leaving you vulnerable to lost deals and fractured relationships that seem to fail without any clear warning. This silent vocabulary is our oldest form of communication. Humans possessed a complex system of physical cues long before we ever developed the capacity for spoken words, and those ancient biological responses still dictate our behavior today. By learning this vocabulary, you stop reacting solely to spoken sentences.
You begin to interpret the physical reactions that precede every thought, shifting from a passive listener to an active observer of human nature. Every interaction begins with an initial greeting. In these first few seconds, your task is to gauge the room's receptiveness before the first real topic is even introduced. The primary signs of openness are easy to spot if you know where to look. Watch for exposed palms or a subtle lean over the desk toward the speaker, signaling that the person is comfortable and engaged. A person unbuttoning their coat in your presence is a powerful signal of comfort. By removing that physical layer, they are unconsciously showing they are receptive to the conversation and ready to listen. In contrast, crossed arms act as a physical barricade. This sign of defensiveness can create a ripple effect in a group. When one person adopts this closed posture, others often mirror the behavior, effectively shutting down the dialogue. When you encounter this barricade, pushing your argument harder usually backfires. The smarter move is to adapt your approach, changing the environment until the person feels safe enough to uncross their arms. As the conversation progresses into the middle phase, tension naturally rises. This is the pivot point where new information is exchanged and internally evaluated. You can see evaluation happening in real time. Look for the listener resting their chin on their hand with the index finger pointed up, often accompanied by a slight tilt of the head. This head-tilting behavior is a deep-seated biological trait. Charles Darwin documented this exact mechanism in both humans and animals as a universal sign of genuine interest and focus. But interest can shift into friction. Tightly clasped hands or the act of pinching the fleshy part of the hand and rubbing the nose are indicators of frustration or a sudden need for reassurance. Identifying these friction cues reveals the moments when a person's internal stress levels are directly contradicting their outward agreeable smile. In the final phase of a conversation, the listener's subconscious has typically reached a decision well before they speak it aloud. The most undeniable sign of a desire to exit is the orientation of the body. While the face might stay locked on yours out of politeness, the torso and feet will begin pointing toward the door. This mental escape is also visible in the eyes. An unblinking blank stare indicates the person has stopped processing what you're saying and is simply waiting for the interaction to end. Conversely, markers of readiness show a person is prepared to act. Sitting on the absolute edge of a chair or steepling the fingers together on the desk are clear signals of confidence and a desire to reach a conclusion. Recognizing these resolution signs allows you to stop wasting energy on a lost cause, or identifies the exact moment to move forward and close the deal. Decoding body language is often associated with catching liars or outmaneuvering an opponent in a negotiation. In practice, these signals function as a tool for empathy. They allow you to recognize when someone feels vulnerable or defensive, even when they are trying to appear composed. When you spot these hidden tensions, you can consciously alter your own presence. Uncrossing your arms and showing your open palms helps to bridge the gap and reduces the listener's unconscious stress. Responding to these unspoken needs builds a level of trust that spoken promises rarely achieve. It makes the other person feel genuinely understood without a single word being exchanged. True communication doesn't start when we finally find the right words. It happens when we finally pay enough attention to understand the things the other person has left unsaid.